Right?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. Just really quickly, just want to do the announcement. Evoke, if you could do it, please, and then whenever you're ready, we can start.
Perfect.
Okay, Evoke, um, are you making the announcement? Are you already live?
Yeah.
Really quickly. It's 7 a.m. for you, right?
Yeah. 7 a.m.
Yeah. Actually, if you while the we make the announcement while the announcement gets it's already posted. Yeah. Before we start, like in a minute, maybe if you could introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Sure. So first of all, I also want to say hey to everyone who's joined on YouTube. If anybody would like to take part in this, right under the YouTube video, there is a description link of the Discord server. You can join there and then ask your questions there or debate me there. Or you can leave questions on YouTube that I will go through once we're done on the Discord server. So that being said, thank you so much. I'm SEBALEX, animal rights activist. I've been vegan for almost 8 years and an activist for around 7 years. I usually, in general, worked on grassroots animal rights activism, street activism mainly, and then I switched I replaced most of my time with university and school lectures on animal rights. And recently, due to the pandemic, all of that got cancelled. So I now concentrate on making online content instead. And just this week, I launched my first ebook that's free on my website if anyone's interested. It's called When Animal Rights and Logic Meet. It's about logical fallacies, and it's available in 19 languages, soon to be 21. I think that's all.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm so thankful for you being here, and yeah, thanks so much. Feel free to start inviting people to the podium, and I'll be in the audience. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so let's start. Just want to say, if anybody wants to ask questions, that's completely fine as well. Just about veganism in general or activism. Otherwise, if anybody wants to debate anything related to veganism, that's completely fine as well. My most recent video is veganism a privilege? Because I've seen a ridiculous amount of people trying to fight against the idea of animal rights, the philosophy, by mentioning it's a privilege. So I'm more than happy to discuss that as well. Okay.
If they don't join the stage, then they might just be AFK. Just invite the next person.
All right. Okay.
Oh, sorry. So this person is muted. So if you could join a normal VC, I'll unmute you, and you can just come back, and then you'll get a chance to ask your question.
Okay, I'll go to the next person then.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
what's up?
What's up? So I'm not. So I came here. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna talk about,
That's fine.
but I wanted to. I wanted to kind of portray how I started my journey into. I started like I tried to be a vegetarian
Okay.
for. Well, I became a vegetarian for like 3 months
Mm-hmm.
because I was living alone, and like I always felt that I could do it. And I always wanted to do it, and I did that while I was living alone
Mm-hmm.
for 3 months.
Yeah.
Um, but then, I had to move, and now I'm living with my grandmother.
Okay.
And then I stopped doing it. I started eating meat, but not because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a, well, everyone here in this house is eating meat, and I have a lot to do. Like it's so burdening to have to worry about so many things.
Yeah.
And right now, like I just like I have work. I have like 2 jobs, and
Okay.
then like having to worry about eating just vegetarian food as like I was doing.
Hmm.
I don't know, like
Do you need help and advice with that?
what do you mean?
Just because you seem like you would want to do it, but you have a lot to do. You're busy. You're surrounded by non-vegans.
Yeah.
Is veganism something you want to get into?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about veganism, but definitely I want to be a vegetarian.
For
Like
what?
that's like a
Yeah.
step up
For what reasons
in the
would you
right
like to
direction.
be vegetarian?
Oh, just idealistic reasons. You know, I care about the animals.
All right.
And also I think that it's better, like not nutritionally speaking, but just in general, I think it's better to stay away from animal food and just
Yeah.
go with plant-based diets. I just
Yeah.
think it's better.
So everything you mentioned as reasons to go vegetarian are actually even better reasons to go vegan. From the health perspective, there's like ridiculous amount of peer-reviewed science and meta-analysis and things like that show that whole foods plant-based diet, a vegan diet, is much better. And when it comes to ethics, you mentioned basically the animals. The most important part is to keep in mind that as long as you're consuming some animal food, you are taking part in animal exploitation. And although, like,
Yeah.
by the way, I was vegetarian for 8 years before I went vegan, and that's because I had no idea about what else I was doing to the animals in the egg industry, in the dairy industry. And nowadays, if you're gonna do an effort, I would say do an effort and go vegan. And there's so many resources you can use for that. Free resources, you don't have to pay anything. There's a lot of websites that help you out for free, nutritionists, everything. And based on where you live, it might be super easy as well. I don't know which country or city you're in. Maybe you can let
I'm
me
in
know.
Brazil.
You're in Brazil. So I'm guessing in Brazil you have an abundance of fresh fruits and veggies. Would I be right if I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and a lot of places, I mean, especially in Brazil, there's definitely, like, I have a lot of Brazilian vegan friends as well, and one of them is there as well. And every time she goes, she tells me like, oh, it's growing, it's definitely growing. So you have to keep in mind that you're doing this for the animals, because they deserve to have basic moral rights, and they deserve that you do just a bit of effort. And I know it seems like it's going to be a huge effort at first, and that makes sense. You're changing your diet pattern. It is a huge change. But that effort only takes a few days, because then you get used to it. It's basically like anything. And once you get used to it, like, after 7 years or 8 years of being vegan, I don't go to the supermarket now and still think what I'm going to eat, because it's a habit, and if something comes from an animal, you stand against that, and you would never want to exploit other animals against their will. Or especially in the dairy industry is one of the most horrible ideas humans have come up with. What they do is,
the problem is that I love milk. Like I just absolutely
and
I
and that's
devour
fine.
milk.
That's fine.
I feel like that's a problem. If like I so here's the thing. I truly believe that the animals deserve to live a good life, and I really dislike animal cruelty. And by purchasing milk, like I do every time, I just basically drink milk like every single day.
Yeah.
I keep reminding myself that what I am doing is contributing to something that I don't really think is right.
Exactly.
And it's like this incongruency in my brain. Like I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And and it's just crazy to me that.
No, I understand. But you have to keep in mind one thing. Like, for example, I used to love hunting. I used to go hunt, and I used to love meat, and it's fine to say you love something, but the question is, does you loving it justify doing it, Or if you stop drinking milk, let's say, are you going to suffer more than the baby calf whose milk you're drinking, because they were taken away from their mothers so that their mothers can become milking machines, so that some industry makes profit off of them, I mean, you agree with all of that?
What was the question? Did you ask something?
No, I was just saying, like, if you're basically...
Hello?
Yeah, you can't hear me?
Did I lose connection?
I can hear you perfectly.
I think he's gone silent. I don't know what happened.
Um,
Hey, yeah, I think SEBALEX needs to restart their Discord, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no
we
problem.
can. I can hear you, but I can't hear Seb.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Sorry for that. I don't know what happened, but I'll be going live again. Well, just restarting my Discord. Thanks everyone for joining, by the way, on YouTube. Yeah, I'm just resetting my Discord. Okay.
I just plunged in, realized that the animals need our help, but here's Seb. Let's see if we can hear him.
Hey, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, I don't know what happened there. So what I was saying was, no matter how much you enjoy or I enjoyed, the question is, you giving up, is that going to be more difficult for you, or is it more difficult for the animals when it comes to what you're putting them
Well,
through?
it's definitely. Yeah, I think it's definitely like you should strive to do it. You should try to do it at least.
Yeah.
You know? Something that I feel like I need more resources and information about, and just be more aware about. Like I need to know the impacts, the environmental impacts of.
You can watch.
Veganism versus vegetarianism.
Yeah, well, it's massive. It's massive because.
Yeah, that's. I feel like I don't have enough knowledge about this.
I understand.
I really don't. And I feel like I need to research more and just.
Yeah,
know
check
more
out some
about
documentaries. When it comes to sustainability, check out Cowspiracy. It's a really, really good one.
Cowspiracy, okay.
Yeah, I think it's still on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, if you use Netflix. It's a really, really powerful documentary. I just want to ask a quick question to the moderators. Is there any specific, let's say, vegan challenge book link that you use to help users who want to go vegan? Like Challenge 22 or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a specific one. We do recommend people to challenge 22, but also we can give people the Veg Curious role.
Yeah.
Gives them access to our Help Me Go Vegan section here, where they can ask the Veg support team here for that kind of advice. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Veg 22 is fine.
Well, I'll also share with you one website called veganbootcamp.org. It's completely free, and you do get nutritionists helping you out as well.
Vegan Bootcamp.
And they have all the documentaries and everything. They basically tell you all the things you can do there to learn more about animal rights, and then you do it at your own pace. I mean, watch the documentaries you want and get all the help for 30 days, and it's completely for free.
Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out, definitely.
All right. Well, do you have any other questions?
Not really. I just came here just to basically say these things. All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Next person.
Oh, nice. I'm next.
Yep.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, Seb. Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan. I've been following your channel for years.
Thanks for the support.
Yeah. You're a huge inspiration, man.
Thank you.
I actually had a question not directly related to veganism, but maybe like just kind of like a more fun question for you, I guess.
Sure.
In the outros of like some of your outreach videos, you often use the song "Be Healthy" by Dead Prez.
Yeah, I did a few years ago. I did.
And you actually put me on to Dead Prez. I had no idea who they were until I heard that song in your video. And I've been a hip hop head like before going vegan, and like I knew about BDP's Beef, which is obviously also a great song, and like a bunch of other like vegan rap songs and stuff. I was curious if there was any other like vegan artists or songs or music in general that you would want the audience to know about.
Good question. There is, but I can't think right now. Oh my god, I haven't listened to for a while. There was, oh my god. With vegan lyrics, there's one, I forgot his name. He's both vegan and antinatalist, I think, as well. How about, I can't remember right now, but if you send me a message on Instagram, I'll try to remember Maybe if I can Google vegan anti-natalist music. I forgot his name. He's really good. Damn it. I don't know if that's something you're interested in, but I'm gonna look it up anyway. Vegan and anti.
Yeah, I mean, if you just like, if you find it, just like throw it out there because I am interested. Definitely.
All right, perfect.
Any
Actually,
recommendations you have?
yeah, let's do it that way. If also send me a message if you want, because I'm definitely
Cool,
not finding
yeah,
it right now, and then I'll ask my friend because he was the one who sent it to me, and then I can just send it back to you.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for bringing me up and taking my question anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're a huge inspiration, and keep up the great work, man.
Thank you,
For
man.
real.
Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. All right, next questions or debates. Let's see. All right, we don't have anyone at the moment requesting, so if anybody wants to jump in, and all right, there we go. Hey.
I just wanted to ask something. So, like, do you know the vegan teacher?
Yes.
So she's sort of forcing her opinions on everyone.
How is she forcing them?
Like, she used to sort of be like, hey, if you're not vegan, then you're gonna go to like hell and stuff like that. So you guys are not gonna be like that, right?
Well, everyone uses different ways of raising awareness about animal rights, but I wouldn't say that what she's doing is forcing, because she can't really force you, right? With just words through the internet.
Yeah. So anyways, I do support vegans, but I'm not a vegan myself. But anyways, that was all I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, that was fast, but yeah, I wanted to say if anybody wants to debate anything, this is an open space. It's fine to have different approaches or opinions about animal rights or activism. So feel free to send a request to speak.
Hello, Seb.
Hey.
So what kind of tip would you give it to yourself when you started going vegan?
That's a good one. Actually, when I first went vegan, believe it or not, the first 3 days I only ate pasta because I didn't know what to eat. And then I was like, I'm sure there's more things I can make, you know? So I bought a vegan cookbook from a random shop. And that was 8 years ago. And a lot has changed since then. So I think what happens is a lot of people go vegan and then they don't do any research, they don't watch any documentaries, they don't educate themselves on the subject, whether it's nutrition or philosophy or anything. And fortunately nowadays there are so many platforms, websites that help you with that. There's Vegan Bootcamp that I said, there's Challenge 22, there's Veganuary, there's $1 Million Vegan. All these websites have free, basically mentoring programs where you join for free for 21 days or 30 days, and they help you out with all the information, which is really important. So I think what tip would help most is what are the changes that you have to do in your diet, because it takes some time for people to realize what they have to give up and for what reasons as well. And if they don't concentrate enough on the reasons, they may fall back into eating these products. So I would definitely say understand the ethics behind animal rights and why animal rights matter. Because once you do, you're definitely not going to go back. And after that, you're going to want to have the information about nutrition, about cooking, and all these things. It's not a huge change, as I said. It's definitely like maybe the first week or something. It's going to take some time to get used to it. And that's completely normal because, I mean, I went vegan when I was 24, I think. That means I'm changing 24 years of habit. And of course, that's going to seem difficult or scary, but it's something we get used to very fast.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I love your handle of chess over cheese.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I was just wondering what your like go-to meal would be if you were gonna cook for a group of people who eat animal products. Like what your
That's a good question. I mean, hummus is definitely one of them. Oh, I think you left the stage for some reason, but it's okay if you want to join again. But I'll answer it anyway. Okay, I'm inviting you. So hummus is definitely one of them, mainly because a lot of people just ask me to make hummus. Because I'm Lebanese and they know I got the real deal. But in general, I think rice and veggies, like a nice sauce, like some whole wheat pasta with a nice sauce, just because it's easy, you know, especially
Okay.
when it comes to rice and something or pasta with something. You know, the easiest part is, you know, putting it in the boiling water and then you can just spend the rest of the time preparing the sauce. And there are so many amazing vegan sauce that like recipes that you can get online. And most people love pasta and rice. So yeah, I
Yeah.
know that the easiest part is just well, I think it also provides most of the calories, both the pasta and rice of the meal. So they're gonna love that part, and all I have to do is prepare a good sauce, and that's it.
Okay. So all it's all in the sauce.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have any specific sauces to recommend, I'll take that too.
Actually, yeah, the next person I invited, if you can just give me a few seconds to reply that last question. Definitely, if you're gonna make pasta, check out cashew cream vegan pasta sauce.
Cashew cream vegan pasta.
It's basically mac and cheese, but vegan.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Hey.
Hey man, what's up?
Thanks for waiting. How are you?
So, no problem. So, I have a question for you. Like, I asked multiple vegans about this, but I'm interested about your opinion also.
Sure.
What do you think about the future of veganism? Will it spread like rapidly, or will it die down? What's your opinion on it?
The future of veganism?
Like, what do you think? Yeah.
I think it's gonna continue growing exponentially, the way it is at the moment. But I also think there are a few things that are gonna be breakthroughs. That's gonna help much more. One of them is lab-grown meat. I'm not a big fan of the idea that we have to go that far for people to stop killing other animals. But if that's what's it's gonna take, I'm not gonna stand against it. That's gonna provide like it's gonna be very helpful because a lot of people already don't want to continue killing animals and eating them, but they're gonna go like, well, if I can just get the one that's grown in the lab and it's gonna use 99% less energy and resources, then they're gonna use that.
Yeah, totally.
So I think from then on, it's what's gonna happen is other industries are gonna continue the same technology with other like animal parts. So they're gonna do that with fish or chicken or I don't know, with milk. I think they're already doing it as well. So hopefully with that we'll continue. Well, we'll always have to continue advocating for animal rights because just because lab-grown meat exists doesn't mean that these animals are gonna get their basic moral rights respected. So as the movement grows, we have to concentrate on the animal rights part, while other movements such as the big industries and the technological industries concentrate on coming up with better solutions. Hello? All right, let's go to the next. Why can't I hear anything? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So wait, what was the original question? I came to this podcast a while. I mean, like just right now.
It's an open stage. Any question you might have, or if you want to debate animal rights, anything, it's an open space to discuss that.
Okay, so y'all know how like veganism is. Well, people Wait, actually no. Can I ask you this question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you like do you support the vegans who are like, you need to go vegan or else you're gonna die and Jesus won't love you? Do you like support that? Or
It's not something I do, but I mean, I would definitely say that the message of animal rights goes along with the teachings that we talk about. I mean, people talk about when it comes to Christianity, but I'm not a big fan of using religion as a reason to convince people to go vegan.
okay. And here's my next question. If a chicken naturally, okay, let's say hypothetically, a hen naturally laid eggs.
Yeah.
And then we use those eggs to like cook like scrambled eggs. Would that still be considered animal abuse?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, and I wasn't sure about this for a while until a few years ago. Obviously, when a chicken just lays an egg and it's not fertilized, so there's no fetus inside, there's no reason for us to believe that a baby chick's gonna come out. It doesn't seem like we're really harming the chicken if we just take the egg, right? Because we're not putting the chicken in a factory farm or making them go through any like pain or anything. But there's much more than what we actually think we're doing, and this is something that a bunch of people have told me who have backyard chickens, and that is that a lot of these chickens, you have to keep in mind, most chickens that you see or you will find in farms in this day and age are not really like a natural animal. They are bred and like their genes are manipulated and they're bred in a way to make sure that they lay as many eggs as possible every single day. And so if you rescue one of them, they're going to continue laying eggs, which is completely normal. And what happens is when you take the egg away, they feel some stress and anxiety, and they feel like they have to lay another egg. And the process of laying an egg is very harmful for chicken. It hurts them a lot, just if you think about the size proportion of their body with the egg, and that comes out of their body. So it's not something painless. And they also lose a lot of nutrients, mostly calcium, when they're laying an egg. And what you can do instead is break the egg in front of them and have them eat it so that they regain the nutrients that they lose in the process of laying that egg. And another problem with that is as long as we look at other animals and what comes out of their bodies as resources for us to use, we're going to end up in the same system of exploiting and using other animals or even other humans for our benefit.
Hello?
Hey.
Could you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. My question is, do you support promoting veganism to third world countries?
Yeah, of course. For several reasons. I mean, I'm personally Lebanese, and I do a lot of work in Lebanon as well, which is going through the worst financial collapse in the world in the last 150 years. And not only do I think it's good, I think it's also important. I'm not talking about animal rights reasons are always there, and they're good enough to continue talking about it, but also for health, environment, and financial reasons. So, for example, when it comes to Lebanon, the first thing that happened when the financial collapse started is the Lebanese army stopped using meat as food because they can't afford it. All around Lebanon, people can't afford eating these foods anymore. And if you don't promote a healthy plant-based diet, they might fall into malnutrition. So it's very important to do that information thing and raise awareness, while at the same time, if you can, also raise awareness about animal rights, because obviously it's always important to talk about what these animals are going through, but there's obviously a way, like a time and place to do it, to make sure that the other person actually is ready and open to the information. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Now, what I do want to say is this doesn't mean that we should like fly into third world countries and say like, hey, you should all go vegan, blah, blah, blah. Because we have to keep in mind that there's people who have it much easier, for whom it may be much easier to spend time and learn about veganism and go vegan. So let's say if a bunch of people want to do activism and they live in London, I think they would have a much better success based on the accessibility of vegan foods in London to do their activism in London instead of flying to Lebanon, let's say, and doing it there, you know? So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to ask somebody. I think somebody already asked this. I don't know because I just joined like 10 minutes ago.
That's fine.
Weird question. I don't know if this sounds rude or anything, but it's not meant to be in a rude way.
Okay.
Do you support the type of vegans like the vegan teacher who, when young people on her page would say you're going to hell and you're gonna die if you don't do this, or Jesus doesn't love you unless you? Because I just wanted to know.
All right. So I said it earlier. I'm not personally. I don't use religion as a reason for people to go vegan. I definitely do believe that if you take the core values of Christianity that people talk about, they actually go hand in hand with veganism. And logically speaking, if Christianity says if you don't do this, then you go to hell, then I would definitely say killing others when Christianity says not to kill would put you in that category. But however, I'm not religious myself, and I also believe the logic behind animal rights is much stronger of an argument and a reason to go vegan. So I never really see the need of mentioning these things. But some people do, and they've seen that it works better for them. So as long as it's working, I'm not gonna talk against it or anything. Does that answer your question well?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
Hey.
So I had a question. I'm a vegan, but I had a question about like extensions of moral considerations of veganism, and I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on those.
Sure.
So a lot of times when I'm discussing veganism with people, sometimes they bring up like further extensions of actions that could be used in sort of a utilitarian sense of decreasing harm. For example, like if you go to the store and you might only buy like non-animal product foods, but you might be paying for someone to say like use more pesticides on non-organic produce if you had the option to choose to buy organic produce, for instance. So often that's brought up as a way of saying like you're still like paying people to like harm sentient life in this way, even if you don't have to, yet that's not included in veganism. And then of course there's less direct methods like saying like if you ride an airplane or like drive excessively more than you need to, then this is also leading to that harm in the same way, like through environmental damage or things like that. That could be avoided, but is often like for personal pleasure in that sort of way. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on those kind of considerations when talking about like where that sort of line is drawn in terms of like practicability and that sort of thing when it comes to moral choices.
That's a good question. I think the way I feel about that is that we can easily fall into the nirvana fallacy, where it's like, well, we can't aim for a world where everything is perfect, and it's also a slippery slope because like, okay, you're not gonna drive more than you need to because it's for fun. Okay, then let's not eat a single calorie more than we need to, and not drink water more than we need to, and like not read any books more than we need to because we can find it online, but don't buy a laptop that's as fast because you don't need it to be that fast, and like where do you draw the line, so I think obviously we should take into consideration what we're doing. If you're someone who needs to travel, I believe you should take into consideration that it's better to use a normal airplane instead of a private airplane, just because the difference between one action and the other is so massive, and it's something that you can easily skip and still do your like travel part. So I think that's one thing people can do. When it comes to, let's say, using pesticides because you're not buying organic, definitely I would say not everyone can afford to buy organic, and most people buy organic when they can afford. So it definitely falls into the definition of veganism, of doing it as far as possible and practicable, because we all know that as long as we're alive, vegan or not, we're causing a certain amount of harm. The best way to never cause any harm is to stop existing, and obviously we're not gonna advocate for for that, because that's a whole other route we'd be going down. And so yeah, I think I would definitely say that we should take these into consideration when there's a massive difference and when options are available, but at the same time make sure we're not falling into this like slippery slope fallacy where like sorry, not a fallacy, just a slippery slope where you just keep on going and going and going, and you're like, where do you draw the line?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
2 follow-ups to that would be, one, you kind of mentioned the organic thing. So I was wondering, like, in your view, if a vegan purchasing foods like does have that option and it is affordable to them, like as far as practical, like you were saying, do you think that they are morally obligated to buy organic produce as much as they can?
Yeah, I would say so, because a lot of these pesticides are not vegan in the first place. But we don't really have the, first of all, accessibility, second of all, financial stability, and third of all, even the knowledge sometimes. Like, you can't really know all the time where those fruits or veggies are coming from and whether or not pesticides have been used and what kind of pesticides. So if you are vegan and you can afford it and you have the availability, then I think you should go for it.
Cool, thank you. And then my last question would be, you kind of brought up the slippery slope kind of information. And so I was wondering, like, how do we convince people that veganism, like, is where we should draw that line? Because I feel like to a lot of people, there's probably confusion about how much they should be changing their actions to reduce suffering. And from what you've mentioned, it sort of sounds like direct influences are kind of the most important, like paying people not to use pesticides, paying people not to specifically intentionally like harm these animals. And so I was wondering, like, where you draw the line in terms of like making those decisions and how we can convince people that veganism is that line.
All right, I'm gonna answer. I'm not sure I understood it completely correctly, and if I didn't, you just let me know when I'm done. So I would say that the reason why we would draw the line on veganism is because we know the second you purchase an animal product, you are taking part in animal exploitation. Now, there's a lot of byproducts that contain animal products, but I would also say that those things shouldn't be our main, let's say, worry, because a lot of times these products have animal byproducts in them is because the animal agriculture industry wants to show the government that their products and byproducts are being used by so many industries, and therefore they need more subsidies, and they want to stay valid and important, you know. So for example, plastic bags have a lot of time like have chicken fat in it to make it more slippery so that you can separate them from each other. Does that mean that if a vegan who lives like in the middle of nowhere and didn't have like a way of transport of the groceries they just bought and decided to use a plastic bag is no longer vegan because the plastic bag might have chicken fat in it? I wouldn't worry about it to that extent, because if we concentrate on veganism and animal rights as an idea to stop exploiting them, then those byproducts, like those products won't contain the byproducts simply because the main industry will stop existing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. So it kind of sounds like you're going along with that like capitalistic sort of thing, where in terms of like people are trying to accomplish something, and then if they have the choice of whether they could do it like in a better way, like say like maybe in the future, like instead of an airplane, we have a fully electric airplane.
Yeah.
Then people should choose that fully electric airplane. That okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That definitely answers my question. And thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks for joining.
Hey Seb.
Hello.
Hey, good night, good day. Yeah. Just a quick question here. This is something that has like created a lot of controversy in the server recently, a lot of infighting.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the best plant milk out there?
It's causing a lot of infighting.
Yeah.
What do I think is the best plant milk out there? One moment, I'm just changing my camera exposure thing. All right, this is better.
Rice milk.
I would actually go. So, does it contain anything else other than, like, for example, I'm not a huge fan of soy milk, but soy milk with vanilla, I die for it.
Okay, yeah, I can respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we're gonna choose just the milk, I would say I really like rice milk, but I usually just use oat milk for many reasons. One, because I can make it easily at home. Second, because it's really nutritious. And third, because it has a lower environmental impact than rice.
Nice. Thank you for your answer. Now for a more like activism related question. So something I've like heard recently is that oat milk is that like sometimes we talk a lot about like how our like thinking, like thinking that the animals should have rights and all that, can lead people to adopt a plant-based diet and go vegan. But the opposite also happens, right? That like when people change their attitude, also their ideas start to change a little bit as well. And this happened to me. Like when I first went vegan, I wasn't like as vegan as I'm right now, or I wasn't as convinced. So is this something that has happened to you? And have you seen it happen to other people as well? That maybe when you give plant-based foods to them, they are more open to the idea of veganism or something?
Yeah, definitely. There's actually been studies that show that while someone is consuming plant-based foods is the best time for you to talk about veganism to them, because they're actually taking part in the action that you're asking them to continue taking, as opposed to talking to them while they're eating animal foods. So there was a study where they had two groups fill out like a small questionnaire about whether or not we should consider other animals, morally speaking. And the first group was given like a small snack of peanuts and things like that, completely plant-based. And the second group had like bacon bits and things like that.
Oh.
And in general, the group that was eating peanuts and plant-based foods were more in favor of giving animals moral consideration. And the group that was eating animal products were more against the idea of giving animals moral consideration. And that showed that it's very difficult for you to agree with something while you're literally at the same time doing the opposite.
Yeah, of course. So it would be wonderful if we could just like always have some, I don't know, like plant-based cookies to give to people when we discuss these things. Awesome.
It helps.
Thank you for the answer. Take care.
Thank you.
Seb, if you don't mind, we actually also have questions in text.
Sure.
Not sure if you want to answer.
Sure.
So the question of why not just eat steak?
Why not just eat steak? Well, okay. Considering that this is not a troll question, why not just eat steak? Because if you eat steak, which is the flesh of an animal, it demands for you or someone else to kill an animal against their will, when you have the option not to, and completely disrespect that animal's right to life. Is there any other text question?
I'll let you know if there is any.
All right. Okay. We'll go to the next person then.
Hi, Seb.
Hey.
I would like to know what you would consider the most frustrating and worst argument against veganism that you've encountered.
Let me think. The most frustrating argument against veganism. Oh, okay. I was doing street activism once, and I was talking to this guy, and he was telling me why he believes that it's okay to eat other animals. and it was because other animals don't have the same type of souls that we do. And I said, well, what about cats and dogs? He said, no. Cats and dogs are similar to ours. But cows and chickens, they are actually aliens. So their souls are alien souls. And therefore, it's okay to eat them because they don't have the same type of soul that humans and cats and dogs do. This, and I've had a woman tell me that a friend of hers is an animal whisperer, and she went to a farm once, and the cows told her that, yeah, it's okay, you can completely like do this to me and eat me, it's fine. And she wasn't even trolling, she was really genuine, and she was like the spiritual person, and it was like, no, you don't understand, like my friend talks to animals, and the animals told her it's fine, they don't mind that we do this to them. So yeah, definitely one of my most frustrating moments after hearing the most ridiculous arguments against animal rights.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Yeah, thanks for answering the question.
Thanks.
All right, another question in text, which is where will all the existing animals be? Animals being exploited go when everyone goes vegan?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people think this is a huge problem, and it's very funny because, and I know like there's a big chance this is obviously a serious question. Some people think that they're going to overpopulate and take over the world, and other people think they're going to go extinct. And if they go extinct, it's very weird because it's like I think was it Schopenhauer's cat? No, Schrodinger's cat. Not Schopenhauer. Schrodinger's cat problem. Like, is the cat in the box or not? Like, well, they're going extinct while overpopulating the world. What would really happen if we stop exploiting other animals? So to begin with, the reason why we have so many animals, up to 60 billion land animals right now, is because we are breeding them into existence to exploit and kill them. They're not just there. Those are not their natural numbers. And that number is just growing the more people decide to eat animal products and their body secretions. So what would happen is, obviously, even though I would like for the world to go vegan overnight, that's not going to happen. This is something that would happen like step by step. As the demand goes down, so will the breeding numbers of these animals. So let's say we have 60 billion. Let's imagine in a hypothetical world, next year we have 50 billion, the year after that 40, 30, 20, 10, and the number will go down like that. And I think what we can do is what we're already seeing. A lot of farms are transitioning into sanctuaries where these animals live out their lives as respected individuals with their basic moral rights respected, such as their bodily autonomy and their wish not to be harmed. And these animals can continue living like that. And I think that's a good solution. And a lot of farmers are doing this. So the number will go down. We're not going to have extinction of these animals as long as these sanctuaries exist. And we're definitely not going to have them overpopulating or taking over the world.
All right, thank you. I'm not sure. I thought you had answered this, but there was a question earlier about organic, whether you should buy it, and you said yes, but someone is asking why.
So that's because some pesticides actually are not vegan. They come from animal products. So if you have the availability and if you can afford, it's better to buy organic. It's also because there isn't enough science yet to check the impact, the long-term impact of consuming plant-based foods that have been sprayed with pesticides and insecticides. So as long as we don't really have the science to tell us if it's safe or not, it's better to avoid it whenever you can.
All right.
Okay.
I think sorry?
I'm just gonna check. There's one person raising their hand. Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great today. I ate vegan or like non-dairy ice cream for the first time. It's it's a wonderful art of innovation. It's something it's game changing, I must say. You know, I wouldn't say like, oh wow, like it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. I just say that like, yeah, it's worth a try. Um, now what was the question I had? Okay, so there, like, I was just thinking about, on a macro scale of things, I didn't want to, I'm not gonna consider like veganism as like not worth my effort because I know that it is an individual effort. Just canceling out any form of animal product out of your diet does go a long way. So I did want to ask, like, on a macro scale, is it really possible that every single person is, or like, well, I doubt that every single person is eventually going to be vegan, but enough so that the environmental damage or like the impacts, kind of like the question that you answered earlier, where like where do you see the future of like veganism heading? And I know that nobody here is like fortune tellers, at least of my knowledge. So I want to ask, like, in the grander scheme of things, how large will the like vegan impact actually reach? That like at the rate that we're going.
So I definitely okay, a lot of people don't like hearing this, but I do think we have to catch up and do and go faster than what we're doing right now because the consumption of animal products worldwide is growing, mostly because of developing countries adopting the Western diet. And the Western diet, yes, it's including vegan food, but like plant-based food, but it's still not at that place where adopting Western diet means adopting plant-based diet. So developing countries such as Brazil, Argentina, China are consuming more and more animal products, and they're breeding more and more animals. So it's not looking that good, to be honest. However, if you take specific countries such as the UK, you can see a massive rise in plant-based food consumption. So my hope is that we grow so big in influential countries that these other countries start adopting that technology. So I think, for example, as much as I'm not a big fan of it, I know that lab-grown meat can be a game changer for China. They literally have huge buildings of factory farms where they have tens of thousands of pigs in each building, and obviously that's a very resource draining industry. So they would prefer to have it made in a lab with 99% less energy and resources being used. So I think we have to make sure to keep on fighting for animal rights to be respected by law and be a part of law because, for example, Ireland and the UK ship animal products to China. So does Denmark, if I'm not mistaken. So if we make it illegal there, then we can also make it illegal to ship around the world, and that would have an impact as well and would send out a message to other countries. I'm just giving China as an example there. Obviously, it's not the only country that's doing that. It's just because they have a very fast growing animal consumption rate, and they do have one of the biggest world populations. So yeah, that's it. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, I understand that, there's is a long stretch to go, and we definitely have to catch up on the rate of which we're doing. What was my like I understand the general gist of that. I'm just really thinking like I've heard of a point of no return, right?
Mhm.
Like a point where like we actually create long-term severe damage to the earth with the current rate that we're going right now to possibly irreversible effect. Do you have any knowledge or understanding about like how far away that is?
No, not in numbers. But I would also say that we underestimate the human potential. So yes, point of no return is something dangerous, and there's just a limited amount of resources that we're using in this world. But I would also say that when the time comes, I'm pretty sure humans are both smart and fast enough to find solutions. This is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because we can save the human population with it. It's a bad thing because we leave it as a last option. It's like, let's destroy until we're probably all gonna die, and then we'll quickly fix it. That's how I feel human beings deal with the solution as a solution.
That's a very good answer. There's only so much to do that we can put on the balance beam to really secure of it and to manage the entire situation. What else is there? I feel as though your ebook, where logic and then right see, or I'm not sure if that's the right spelling of it. I'm really
That's
really
okay.
sorry. Do you think there's like some sort of if you were to really just like look at somebody straight in the eyes and just tell them is it possible to really what's okay, I'm starting too much. My main question is what's the quickest and like most fluid way that you would tell somebody, or like the points that you would bring up, the most fluid points that you can mention like right off the bat, just to convince somebody that or not convince somebody, because I feel like convince is a little bit of a stretch. Dang it, I'm running on again.
Yeah.
What is just the easiest way to give somebody valid reasons to become vegan, or like stuff that you
Yeah.
know off the top of your head that is a fairly strong argument?
I would I would simply ask them if they believe in human rights, and if they do, I would ask them if they believe in animal rights. Most of them would say no, because well, unless if they're vegan. And when they say no, I would ask them what is the difference that has a moral weight that these animals have that humans don't. That if we
Hello?
were to take out from the animal and apply it to a human, it would justify doing the same thing to human animals. So let's say, there's so many
Hey
different.
Seb, your mic cut out again. I'm not sure if you want to restart your client
Okay.
again.
Sorry for that. I don't know whether that's happening. It's the first time. I wonder if there's a troubleshooting thing I can do. Let's see.
Hey, Seb?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Do you have any idea why this is happening? I've never had it before.
It's not happening to anyone else. So
That's
nope,
really weird.
nope.
Okay. All right. So how far did you hear me in my answer?
None of it.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So the one thing that I would say, first of all, I would ask if they believe in human rights. Most people would say yes, and if then I follow up with, do you believe in animal rights? They would say no if they're not vegan. And then I would say, what is the difference that these animals have that has some moral weight, that if we were to take it from them and apply it to a human animal, it would mean that this human wouldn't have rights either. So there's a lot of differences between humans and other animals. A lot, obviously. We walk most of the time on two legs. They don't. We have skin. They have feathers or fur. There's so we have our own languages. They have their different ways of communication. There's so many things that are different, but none of these differences hold any moral weight. So the question would be, what is it? What trait do these animals have that if you were to take from them and apply it to a human, it would justify doing the same thing to a human animal? And this is actually also commonly known as the name the trait question, where you say name the trait that is true of animals, of other animals, that if true of humans would justify killing and exploiting humans. People will start using all type of excuses and naming traits, and all you have to do is say, okay, let's take this trait, apply it to a human. Would you then agree that we can do this to a human? They would say no. Therefore the trait is not the right one. And finally, they realize that there is no single trait that holds any moral value that excuses us to take these actions that we're taking towards other animals.
A question to bounce off of that. What's like, would you consider humans, like in your own opinion, would you consider humans to be like by like the slightest bit, the most minuscule uh like uh like amount or quantity, like would you consider humans to be any bit uh better than, you know, animals?
Morally speaking, or like technologically, or what? Like, well, could you give more context?
Yeah, I mean, I'd assume that we'd talk about like technologically speaking. If you were to branch off to morally speaking as well, then I'd like to hear your response on that as well.
All right, so I think technologically speaking, obviously we can do things that they can't do, but they have some ridiculously mind-blowing technology within their bodies. Like the way that they navigate or communicate sometimes, depending on the species. It's not something we can compare with our capabilities, but then again, we can do other things like sit down in Indonesia and have a voice chat with you. I don't know where you are, in real time, while other people from all around the world listen to it in like live. That is mind blowing if you actually take a step back and look at it. But at the same time, again, we can't really compare that type of technology to the ways that other animals use in their lives. And when it comes to morality, I would say it's not really something we can compare, because other animals aren't moral agents, they're moral patients. So they don't have the idea of morality, they don't acknowledge morality, they're not able to acknowledge morality the way we are. And so we can't really compare those two. But between an animal who can't understand morality and one who can and still does immoral acts, I think that speaks for itself. So if someone says, well, what about, let's say, a cat who hunts for fun? It's horrible, right? Cats like literally hunt for fun, and they're the reason a lot of species go extinct. Yeah, but the cat doesn't really have the ability to hold that conversation about morality and understand right from wrong. Whereas humans who have that capability and do have the information also hunt for fun. So I would be leaning more into animals being more, well, just being better than humans in that context.
Wow. I mean, that was an answer that I wasn't expecting, but I'm glad I learned something from that.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, just one last question.
Sure.
And like I think this will be like a generally powerful question like around. I am a new vegan. I've been vegan for 2 weeks, and I'm 16 years old, and I can see that, you know, if I really keep this up, that over time I'll make a really big difference. You know, starting, you know, I'd consider this relatively early. Um, what I would like to ask is that, you know, sometimes I do mess up. Like, you know, I've been I have that like, you know, starting off, I have that guilt whenever I see that maybe there's egg in contained with something that I was eating, or, you know, there might be some sort of ingredient or animal product that I'll find that like while I'm eating, I'm like, oh, whoops, I and like for example, I really didn't know that French toast had eggs in it, and then
Yeah.
you know, as I was eating it, you know, I just had to file that to the side for a moment and really just to do some self-reflecting. But you know, to get to the point is that like, is being vegan necessarily like about not eating any animal products at all, or is it more so a journey?
I wouldn't call it a journey. I would call it an understanding of philosophical stance that we take regarding morality and justice. And of course, just like any other stance you take in your life, sometimes you're gonna mess up, and there's no need to bash yourself for it. You know, you're still human who can make mistakes. So when you do realize you've making a mistake, just go like, okay, I messed up. Now I've learned, and I will continue doing my best to my knowledge. But the more you do, the more you're gonna learn, and therefore it's like the longer you're doing it, the more you're gonna grow into it and understand more things and find out more things, and that's completely fine. And as long as your message and stance is quite clear on animal rights, it's not something I would worry about if you make any mistakes.
Okay, so long as like I try my like absolute best to be consistent, with what I choose to act on, what I choose to do, the type of message that I give out, and the diet that I consume. Like even if I make mistakes, even my first week was kind of hard. It's like, oh wow, like I accidentally just like again, I ate,
Yeah.
punks, and I was really thinking about just giving it up all then and there. It was actually really just mindless of me to even think of that. And then like I really just I thought again about, the impact that is made from, going back to what would be considered a regular American diet of like consuming all of these like, terrible like, resource using, products and, meals. And I had that reflection. And it's hard because like I kind of hyper focus on those things at the start, and it gets me incredibly nervous to even like walk through the path of like the initial judgment that I'm getting now. All I'm really just trying to look at is like, okay, just keep on going through this. And I'm not being so consistent like right now, but every single chance I get to where I feel like there's absolutely like a 100% in my control, and sometimes when it's not entirely in my control, I'll try my absolute best to continue with this with this stance and whatnot. So yeah, I'm glad that you opened this out to not necessarily be a journey, but just something that maybe I can't always have the power to be consistent on, but when I'm not, like to just pick myself back up.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to say that most of the time you can also know in advance if you're going to be in a situation where you don't have the power. So, for example, someone can say, I was vegan, and then I was traveling in some small town in the north of Iceland, and there was no plant-based food. So I ate dairy or something like that. And then you ask like, what were you doing there? Like, oh, just traveling for tourism. So like, you knew in advance you're going to the middle of nowhere, putting yourself in a position of not having any plant-based foods around you. Why would you do it if you know that's gonna make that's gonna create a situation where you're gonna eat something else? Most of the time we have control in advance, but we ignore it. And sometimes like I've had this happen only once since I was vegan. Well, since I went vegan 8 years ago. It was around 2 years ago. I was doing lectures in universities in Germany, and there was one day where I had 2 different lectures in 2 different cities, and I took the first train. Sorry, I finished my second lecture, and I had to go to 14 hours away to another city, and I missed the first train, and I was able to catch the second one. And I was so late. I literally didn't have any time to eat. I didn't have time to look into where I can eat. I walked up to the cafeteria in this small town's train station, and I told them, like, obviously they had no vegan option, and I told him, take bread, put lettuce, tomato, ketchup, and that's what I'm gonna eat. I've had this once in 8 years, and even in that situation, I had the most horrible sandwich I've ever had in my life. But you know what? It was fine. Like, yeah, it didn't taste good. It was not that nutritious. It definitely didn't fill me up. But it's what I had to do at the moment. So a lot of times we think we have to go for the non-vegan option, but it's fine to not have that perfect meal once. It's fine. Like, your body's not gonna suffer from it. You're not gonna suffer from it. You're just gonna realize, like, okay, this meal really sucked, but it's fine because that's what I had to do in the moment, because I prefer me having that really shitty meal than an animal going through what they go through. So that's also one thing you can take into consideration, what you're going through versus what the animal would go through if you were to choose the non-vegan option. And most of the time we can skip a meal Obviously, I don't like recommend you skip meals. You should eat when you're hungry, but make sure that like, yeah, it's fine if your one meal in I don't know how many months or weeks or years is not as perfectly nutritious as your other meals.
So in essence, just whenever in that situation, start fasting.
Yeah, you can always do that as well.
Yeah, I think like there's throughout the summer because I just have inconsistent sleep schedules. It's very easy for me to miss breakfast. So if
Yeah.
it comes to fasting, it's very easy for like me to just skip out on a meal or two for a
There you
day.
go.
Yeah, especially if it means especially if it's in like the better interest for a
Yeah.
cause.
Yeah, and also, like, you have a very busy schedule, plan in advance, You can also do that, and would be easier for sure.
All right. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right.
I've been up here for a while, so
Okay.
I really gotta head off.
Okay, thanks for joining.
No problem. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Hey,
Hi.
what's up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why you think that being more vegan is a moral obligation.
Well, because I would say for the same reason that I believe believing and respecting human rights is a moral obligation. Obviously, I can't, and it's not easy for anyone to go into like the definition of morality. But if we were to say that it's a set of rules of knowing what is the right and what is the wrong thing to do. If we believe that it is wrong to hurt other humans because it goes against their wish of not being harmed, then the same logic applies to other animals, and therefore we would have the same moral obligation towards other animals.
Yeah, so why would I think that animals have wishes?
Well, because it has been observed by science, and they're sentient, and they act on that, and there's been the...
Why would we think that science can determine whether...
What happened there? I don't know what happened there, but yeah, if you want to join again, go ahead and send a request. I'll go with the next person. I also want to say that on the server we give priority to those who are members, so definitely do join the server, and you'll have a lot of help as well if you're interested in veganism. Hey.
Hi. Oh my god. Hello?
Hey. Yeah, I can hear you.
Now. Hey, hello. Hey there. So, I just woke up and I've been like listening for for a short while, and then
Yeah.
I saw the title, "Is Veganism a Privilege?"
Yeah.
And like it made me think like how I was able to spend my time like educating myself in the server. I've only been vegan for like a couple of days, like a week probably.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely like a practice that I'm getting used to. It's a philosophy that I really like connect with, and I'm really set to like continue doing it, because it's for the animals purely. But I do think that in my country, especially because it's a third world country, I do believe that it is a privilege to be vegan because I don't think that it is very widespread here
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of Filipino families are more focused on trying to get by day
Mm-hmm.
rather than the condition of the animals that they're eating.
Yeah.
And
Alright.
so, since being that it is a privilege in my country, is there any way that I can contribute to like giving access to the families that I mentioned of?
Yeah, so this is something that like I've had the same conversations in which I've said it's privilege, but I've actually changed my stance. I no longer believe veganism is a privilege in any country, any side of the world. And I'm not saying this because I believe everyone can be vegan. Obviously, accessibility issues exist everywhere. But the reason why veganism, by logic and definition, cannot be a privilege is because of the definition of veganism. And that is a philosophy and a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as is possible and practicable all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. So we have to really take into consideration that the definition of veganism literally says as far as is possible and practicable, which means if you live in a place where it is not that possible to eat a plant exclusive diet, then by definition you're still vegan. You know, so if people in some places in the world are struggling because of accessibility or financial issues, but they're actually doing it as far as is possible and practical, even though they might be consuming animal products, they're still considered vegan by definition. And this is the official definition by the Vegan Society. So that being said, it doesn't, I don't want to ignore the whole situation, like the context you gave. I think it's completely possible to also talk about veganism in those areas. I myself am Lebanese, another third world country. And we have to keep in mind that, yes, some people might look at it as, oh, like, look what I'm going through, and you're talking to me about other animals. But the thing is, while you're going through a difficult time, you have the option to not only make others go through a difficult time, but also be healthy yourself. Because I don't know how the healthcare system is there, but in Lebanon it's really bad. So on the long term, yeah,
also
there you go. On the long term, it's also financially better for you to stay on the healthy side. This is like talking about the food impact on our bodies. So if somebody does come from a background that makes it difficult for them to be vegan, then that's just another reason for them to try it as far as possible. As the definition says, it would be good for them, for the environment, for the animals, and most importantly, if the financial aspect is what like worries them the most, then you can keep like remind them that it's about doing your best, but also it's better maybe like in some cases to do the research and pay just a bit more than end up paying for a hospital bill for getting a triple bypass. Obviously that's not gonna happen to everyone, but most people in this day and age do end up dying from or having at least a stroke, heart disease, cardiovascular disease. So they would be saving money on the long term. And if, I mean, that's not even, that's an extra of veganism, because the argument of animal rights is strong enough by itself for someone to go vegan, no matter where they are, as the definition says, as far as practical and possible.
So it's like, although like primarily we're promoting veganism for the animals, right?
Yeah.
Are you saying that it's okay to appeal to these people by like appealing to them by saying that it's going to be beneficial for the health and for their health and the environment?
I would not use that as the main argument, and if I do bring it up, I would also say that this is an extra, not like it's an extra.
It's not the main
it's a
thing.
bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Like for them, because the thing is, if you eat meat like every 2 months, chances of you getting heart disease or something are very low. You can be healthy and not be vegan. It's possible. It's not ideal, but it's possible. And that's why we should always concentrate on the animal rights part as well, so people know that it's not about the health side and keep on exploiting animals. It's about the ethics, you know. And what we have to keep in mind is that yes, some people have a more difficult time sometimes due to their situations, but that doesn't mean that they can't understand or respect the idea of justice and not hurting or harming others. In fact, I made a story yesterday on Instagram sharing about my video called "Is Veganism a Privilege?" And someone sent me a message about an activist in Uganda who spends his time raising awareness about this. There's activists literally all around the world, no matter what background they come from. Obviously, not everyone in Uganda is struggling, But just an idea of like, no one thought about the fact that in Lebanon, a country that's going through the worst financial collapse in the past 150 years worldwide, there's gonna like be an opening for an animal rights center, the first of its kind in the whole world. That's because they think if people are struggling, then they can't fight against other like problems or understand animal rights, or even have the ability to go like, yeah, I'm struggling, but it's true, I can't justify making other struggles at the same time. So it might be like an obstacle for you in your conversations, but you can always like have those bonuses that you mentioned as well if you feel that it's gonna help.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's very. It's a lot of. It was a lot to ponder on. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm just a bit confused here. So I'm confused because like we're supposed to believe in the ministry, right? You understand that? So is this like the church and state supposed to be separate? I'm confused because I never went to school, right? Is a confused person supposed to get a resolution?
I have no idea what you're talking about. State
Well, I
and
mean, I don't understand either. You see, when you go to that, like, right? You have a cross, 2 sticks, right?
I'm gonna
That's how
give
I felt
you.
when I was in Waterloo.
I'm
not actually from Waterloo either.
Okay, I'm getting you off the stage. You're a troll. I mean, one troll in more than an hour. Can't complain. Hey.
Hey. Oh, sorry, I'm doing something. I'm trying to eat, but I actually like joined this, and it's actually like a really. I was like here earlier, but then I had to go do something real quick. But
yeah,
basically, this is actually really cool, and I love that people like do stuff like this because it's like really like easy to like educate people like around the world. So like I think this is really cool what you're doing, and I just wanted to say that you're awesome for doing this, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna go back to listening, but keep talking to people.
Thanks. I just wanted to remind everyone who's watching on YouTube that if you do want to ask questions for now, check the link in the description, and you can join the Discord. It's an amazing Discord server called Animal Rights Advocates, with a lot of help and information and resources. And we're on stage 1, and you can send in a request to join the stage, and we can have a talk.
So if no one's gonna raise their hand, I mean, I'm assuming that everyone agrees you should be vegan and that animals should have rights. To anyone that disagrees, feel free to raise your hand. We got someone.
It's just the same troll from before.
Oh, okay. And if you have if you don't want to voice your question or your criticism, feel free to type it in text, stage 1. And oh, we got someone with a question, a vegan.
Yeah, I do have questions, but it's not about veganism per se. It's more about activism.
Yeah.
So what do you do to chill and disconnect from activism to avoid burnout, which is something very important for activists to have a mental health?
So I personally have kind of a strict schedule, let's say. And what I do is, I actually work out twice a day, 45 minutes each. One of them just normal workout. The other one is I either cycle 20 to 30 kilometers or walk for 45 minutes, just because I've felt a massive difference in my mind, like mental health, when I'm more active. I also do ice baths, which helps a lot. It's the thing that has helped me the most in my life, mental health wise. So I try to do 2 to 3 minutes of sitting in ice cold water. And I would ask everyone to give it a try. It's not fun, it's not easy, but once you get used to it, it's this like little chamber of peace where you sit inside that water and nothing else exists in that moment, and it literally has a massive impact on both your physical health and your mental health. So that's that. Other than that, whenever I have time, I skate. I haven't skated for more than a month now, but I try to. I've been really busy recently, but I do think that mental health is really important for vegans, especially activists, because it's not something that's easy to deal with when you live in a world where there's so much suffering and exploitation of other animals. So if you're gonna fight the fight, then you have to make sure you're healthy. And if you want to do it long term and the animals need you to do it long term, then you have to take care of yourself, and you owe it to yourself and to the animals to take care of your mental health.
Great, thank you. Since there's no other raised hand, I'm going to continue. I have a couple of questions more.
Sure.
One of them is, who is your favorite vegan activist? And maybe if you can share any good vegan activist that is very good and you like, but people may not know about it.
I don't really have one favorite activist, but there are definitely activists that really inspire me. Emma Hurst, she's an Australian MP. So amazing the amount of work that she does with the Animal Justice Party. Definitely check her out. It's political activism and it's really inspiring. There's Leah Dullinger, who started Meet the Victims. Amy Sorano from Canada. There's Simon Hill from Plant Proof. He runs a podcast. He's really, really inspiring because his podcast is one of the top 5 or top 10 health-related podcasts in the world, based on the statistics he gets. And who else? I think like what inspires me a lot is when people find different ways and start something new. That's really powerful for me, because it's not easy to come up with a new idea to do these things and be active. But I mean, also I also do get a lot of inspiration and motivation from activists that are not necessarily known or have a lot of followers. You know, that like a lot of time we tend to confuse follower count with success or motivation or whatever. But I find inspiration in a lot of activists that I know in person or that I follow on Instagram, and they don't necessarily have to be people that other people know about. I can't think of anyone at the moment. At the top of my head, I would definitely say Emma, Leah, Amy, and there's of course more. Unfortunately, I can't think of right now, but if any name pops up, I'll definitely share it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. The other question, I'm not sure if you want to answer this, is that you have addressed veganism from the point of view of Islam several times in your videos. Have you thought on doing similar videos with other religions?
I have thought about it. The problem is that I haven't really found content to do a reaction video to, but if you know of any, I'd love to do it. So the only reason I did the ones related to Islam is because I found really good content to react to and share my opinion on. I have done a few on Sadhguru, but obviously he's not it's not necessarily a religion, what he does, or what he represents. If there's any content out there with Christianity or other religions, I've thought of doing one on Buddhism, just because of how much of a hypocrite Dalai Lama is. But then again, I found that so many other vegans had already done it, including Mike the Vegan, who has like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I thought like there's no need to add another video. His video like says everything perfectly already. So yeah, but if you have any other videos, do let me know.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm done
Alright.
right now. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Just such an inspiration.
Thank you.
I actually have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Is there any like future? Is there any project you're currently working on, like a new video or something big in the future, and or maybe explain a little bit more about this, I think this ebook that you're making?
Yeah, sure. I have a big project I'm working on, but I can't share it yet. I'll launch it. I'll launch it on the 1st of September, I think. I'm still working on it. I'm really, really excited for it, to be honest. I'll tell you later on in chat. But
sure.
I'll talk about the ebook. So the ebook that I published last week on my website, if anybody wants to check it out, sebalex.org/ebook, or if you just join the mailing list, you'll get it as well. It's completely free. It's called When Animal Rights and Logic Meet, and it's around 80 or 90 pages, but I mean not like A4 pages, so it's an easy read, and it goes through different logical fallacies that humans use in order to justify our exploitation and killing of other animals. Because I realized that, yeah, we can talk about like, someone can say, well, lions eat meat and something like that. And then a lot of vegans find themselves arguing on why lions do this and whether or not we should do the same thing, or do lions have morality, blah, blah, blah. And they get caught up in those little details, and the conversation takes so long and gets so frustrating when they can just realize that this is a logical fallacy of appealing to nature. And it's much easier to have these conversations when you understand and know how to detect these logical fallacies. So I made the ebook for that, and it's available in 19 languages. I'm adding Catalan and Greek as well, so it will be 21. Just waiting for the translations to be done. And you can just download it, and it's available for Kindle, Apple Books, or whatever device you're using. It's all the extensions and versions are available. And it's basically, I think, I don't know how many fallacies I go through, and I give examples for each fallacy. First of all, I explain the fallacy and how it is, the form of the fallacy, and then an example that people have heard. And then I also give tips for how vegans could make the mistake of using that fallacy themselves, because for example, someone said, people can say, well, humans have eaten meat for thousands of years, therefore it's okay. You can sit down and argue whether or not humans have actually done that for thousands of years, or how much they ate meat in the past. Or you can just simply say that that's an appeal to tradition fallacy. Just because something has been done for so long, it doesn't mean that it's moral or good enough for us to continue. Now, a vegan could also make that fallacy by saying, for example, well, in the north of Spain, they found some human bodies, and by doing the tests, I mean skeletons and things like that, I'm not talking about fresh bodies, but they think thousands of years old, okay, and they saw that population survived on a plant-based diet. So a vegan might also use that as an argument, but I don't want vegans to use that as an argument, because that's just an appeal to tradition. That's not like a strong argument for animal rights. So the book is mainly for activists, but also for anyone who's interested in veganism. Even if someone is interested why they should go vegan, they can read the book and realize, oh, okay, so all those stances that I have towards veganism are just logical fallacies. And logical fallacies, they're fallacies. You can't use them as an excuse to not go vegan. So yeah, that's the ebook. Again, if anybody wants to check it out, sebalex.org is the website, and you can download it for free.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'll be checking it out. Thank you. And I think we have another person in the request.
All right. I don't know what happened there, but okay. I'm also quickly gonna check. Just wanted to. All right. No, that didn't work. So if anybody wants to debate as well, just wanted to remind everyone this is an open space and you can share your stance. Hey. You have to unmute yourself. Hello? Okay. It seems that that's not working. Okay, so as I was saying, if anybody wants to debate anything related to animal rights, or if you don't really understand why you should go vegan or it's a moral obligation, feel free to just send in a request and you'll be invited to talk. I'm also gonna quickly check if there's anything on YouTube else. After the live here, I will go on that question. So, for those questions.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to answer any questions from YouTube.
Okay, yeah. For anyone who's on YouTube, if you want to send in questions, you can do that. You could also, if you want to make sure I see your question as fast as possible and answer it straight away, feel free to do a donation to support my work. And yeah, but obviously you don't need to do that. It's just that pops up as a notification, so it's easier to see. Okay, meanwhile.
Also, I did get the DM. I can confirm this is exciting.
The new project, yeah. But the reason why I can't share it yet is because there is so much work behind it. Because it's not a one-time thing. So I have to go through everything first, prepare it all, and then start sharing it. It's difficult not to use certain words to talk about.
You said 1st of December, or what did you say?
1st of September, so in less than 3 weeks.
Right.
Well, no, 3 weeks exactly,
Cool.
I think. Okay, so someone says, thoughts on feeding pets, such as dogs and cats, a vegan diet. So I do want to quickly say that I prefer referring to them as companion animals, since pet is a word that is being used usually to refer to them as objects to buy or for us to own. I completely support that for many reasons. First of all, because there's actual science behind it. None of these companies are making plant-based foods for dogs or cats without actually having peer-reviewed science and scientists backing it up, and the information is out there. I would never do it if it wasn't for the best of the animal. So we have 3 rescued dogs here. They all survive. Well, they eat plant-based diets, and science has shown that a lot of disease existing in dogs and cats actually comes from the food that they're given. When it comes to dogs, they're omnivores, and that means they can survive on animal flesh, animal products, or plant-based foods, or a mix of both. The reason why I believe in general that it's better to aim for plant-based food is because we have created this problem where we have bred so many animals into existence that now we have to kill thousands of others to feed them, when we can just feed them a healthy diet that is plant-based and not cause that suffering. For cats, it's a bit more complicated. You do have to do tests to make sure that they're meeting all their nutrition needs, but it's definitely possible as well. And this is all backed up by science. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't. Just received a donation. Thank you so much, first of all, Didi, for the donation. And your question is, what's your opinion on products that may contain milk or eggs? This is a very good question. A lot of vegans, myself included, when I first went vegan, were really, I was really confused. Literally almost everything may contain milk or eggs. What am I supposed to eat? May contain milk or eggs is more of a warning that they put, because the company also uses that same factory to make products that contain milk or eggs. So there could be cross-contamination. And the reason why they put that, and if you pay attention, they also sometimes put may contain nuts, may contain soy. These are all products for which people can have severe allergies for. So if they make a mistake and they don't put that, and there was a very, very small trace of, let's say, milk or eggs or soy or nuts, then they can be taken to court, and they can get sued, because obviously someone can face massive health issues because of it. So just because something may contain milk or eggs doesn't mean that it's not vegan. Actually, it is like vegan friendly, but they just put it as a warning in case someone has an allergy, and yeah, they just want to play it safe. But yeah, thank you so much for the donation, Didi. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's continue if anybody else has any questions. Okay, we have one person here inviting to speak. Give me just like 10 seconds. I'm just going to open the door for my dog because he wants to go outside. All right, thank you. I think your headset is muted or something, but I can't hear you if you're speaking. Hello? Okay, hey, if you can hear me, we can't hear you. I'm hoping it's not a problem on my end as well. But yeah, if anybody...
No, we can hear you clearly.
Okay.
If you could try and the other person just reconnect your Discord and come back on stage again.
Okay, I'm gonna move them to audience as well, and they can do that again. So
seems everyone else agrees with animals should have rights. They should be respected, right?
yeah, I mean, if anybody disagrees, feel free to join the stage. Okay.
Oh,
let's
they're back.
try. Okay. Hey, it's working now. We can hear you.
Now.
I'm sorry, I'm getting tickled. Okay, so I have some questions about veganism.
Okay. Should we skip to the next person? Yeah. All right, there's some.
What kind of laugh was that? Jesus
yeah, that was weird.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello. This is yeah, I like cows.
Yeah, cows are
As you can
amazing.
see from the name, yeah. Yeah.
And? Okay. I'm not gonna lie though, we're not getting that many trolls. The other day there was the stage and I was listening, and oh my god, some of those trolls almost cut off my
I think
ears.
you unfortunately caught a bad time because we had 200 people early in the day. It's weird because like some periods of the day, just randomly you'll get like a lot of people and then you have less.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's fine. I mean, we can also do this. I'm up for doing this anytime, so as long as I'm not working on the other project.
No, of course, yeah. That's awesome.
There was a question on my YouTube, Seb. Are you going to do a video about the Lebanese woman that developed plant-grown casein for cheeses backed by Robert Downey Jr.? I have no idea what that is. I am not aware of that news, but I am just gonna copy paste that into my browser just to have it here. I'll read about it later. I had no idea. I mean, I'm not even sure if casein is healthy. I'm not gonna say, like, to my knowledge, it's not something healthy when it's in milk. Well, in dairy, that's where it comes from. But yeah, thanks for the info. I'll definitely check it out. I wasn't aware of it, so I'll see if I can do a video on it. I actually, okay, Nobel Foods plant-based casein for realistic vegan cheese endorsed by Robert Downey Jr. raises $75 million. Oh my god. I had no idea about this. Maggie Rishani and her Nobel team are putting the echo in queso. Oh my god. Okay. Milking a crop instead of a cow. An engineer by training. Alright. Okay, this is interesting. I'll try to do a video on this and talk about it. Thanks for that info. And if anybody has any questions on YouTube, feel free to send it as well. Or if you could do it with a donation, I'll definitely see it much easier because I have the window open here and there's a lot going on in the chat. So yeah, if anybody from the Discord who has just joined, feel free to raise your hand, debate veganism, animal rights, or even ask questions about veganism, how to go vegan, how to do activism. And also join the server because that would definitely help you so much if you're planning to go vegan. There's a lot of information on here.
Okay, I have one question. Since we addressed companion animals like dogs and cats that can be perfectly fed with a plant-based diet, what would you do if you lived with a companion animal that cannot be fed with a plant-based diet, like snakes and birds that eat insects?
Okay, that's a good question, but I find it very difficult to answer because those animals shouldn't even be with me in the first place. So if I did have a snake or a bird, then I would look into any sanctuary or wildlife protection organizations who may help them to be reintroduced into the wild. I'm not sure how comfortable I would feel buying dead mice, for example, to feed a snake. However, I do want to say something really interesting, and that is that some lab-grown meat companies are going to be aiming for this, making lab-grown meat products as food for animals that rely on humans, such as cats and dogs that are adopted. And if like the person wants to make sure that, let's say the cat eats meat and gets all the nutrients easily, then they can easily buy those foods. And they're definitely not causing any harm because they're lab grown. So that's something I would wish to exist sooner. But in general, yeah, I really do not feel comfortable with the idea of buying dead animals to feed, let's say, a snake or even a bird.
I feel the same. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. There was someone. No, wait. Okay. I think we'll stop in 7 minutes. So it will be a total of 2 hours. If anybody wants to join the stage. Actually, okay, one person said on YouTube, the sanctuaries have to feed those snakes. In fact, there are so many, especially in Florida, that they are slaughtering them by the hundreds. Oh my God. Yeah, it's really confusing because like snakes should not be in human like houses in the first place. You know, they should just be in nature. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know how much it would demand for a snake who has been bred into captivity and lived in like in a house to be able to go back into nature. It's usually complicated from my understanding. But yeah, okay, we have Alesta. Let's give it a try again. You joined earlier, but we couldn't hear you, I think. Hello?
Okay. Hi, SEBALEX. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you.
Sorry, I think with stuff here. It took me a while.
It's okay.
We have met before from Barcelona, from Munich, Alexander.
Okay. How are you?
So thanks very much. It's great what you're doing, as always. I wanted to mention a bit vegan activism.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of groups. Maybe you could give us just some names, some lists of what we can refer to, who to contact.
Yeah, I
If you want,
think.
I have some names here. Maybe should I start and then you can.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So of course, you all know and like Anonymous for the Voiceless.
Mm-hmm.
I see Activists for the Victims. I think that's one of the spin-offs then of local groups. The Save Movement, Meet the Victims, Animal Voices, PETA. Are there additional names that you?
Yeah,
want to
there's
add?
Earthlings Experience as well, which was what inspired Announce for the Voiceless. They're in many cities around the world. I also want to say an amazing way to find activist groups is to ask in local Facebook groups of vegans. Just like that's how I found other local activists when I was in Barcelona. I use the Barcelona vegan group to just ask like, hey, like, are there any groups doing activism? And then some people sent in some information. So that helps a lot if where you live, you can't find any of those groups that were mentioned here. Definitely either check if there is already one, and if there isn't, you can easily start one. I know it might sound a bit like scary, but it's definitely not. It's quite an easy thing, and especially if you're doing it with a bunch of people, everyone's gonna be doing it for their first time, so you're not gonna be like all left alone and confused.
And there's Meetup. I think that's
yes,
also
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No other than that, no questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Hope
Funny.
you're doing well.
Take care.
Take care. Bye
Hope
bye.
to see you soon again.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Hi. So I have a question. Sorry about last time.
Yeah.
About veganism.
Sure.
How are most people going to like be able to make that drastic change in life because they're gonna have to be eating like different foods?
Yeah.
How are people gonna be able to afford that? Like some people can't afford to change a whole diet, so.
Yeah. Good question. So we have to keep in mind. Listen, I'm gonna be very honest. If there's gonna be that, I can easily remove you and continue answering. But I'd rather you stay here in case you have any other questions. But feel free to raise your hand again if that happens. So just because someone goes vegan doesn't necessarily mean that they have to eat like vegan cheese, vegan burgers, vegan sausages, or those things, which are most of the time more expensive. I agree with that. However, we have to also keep in mind that you don't have to eat those products just because you're vegan. I don't even remember when was the last time I did that. You can just stick to whole foods, like follow a normal whole foods plant-based diet, eat rice and grains and legumes and fruits and nuts and seeds. There's so many things you can eat that are usually, in most of the countries in the world, the cheapest foods that you can find. Now, let's imagine someone lives somewhere where eating plant-based foods or a plant-exclusive diet is much more expensive. For example, I think I was looking at prices in Alaska. Someone was tweeting pictures from the supermarket of the prices of plant-based foods, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, like a salad for $35 and things like that. So the definition of veganism in itself includes people who are in this position, and it says veganism is a philosophy and a way of life and a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as is possible and practicable all forms of exploitation and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purposes. So we have to concentrate on the as far as is possible and practicable, which means that if, as you said, not everyone can do that, one of those people who is someone who cannot always eat a plant-exclusive diet is trying their best, but they can just not afford it all the time, they are still vegan because they are doing it as the definition of veganism says, as far as is possible and practicable. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But also, my next question is just one more.
Sure.
Do you like believe that being vegan is like healthier for you, or it's just?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't believe it's healthier. The science says it's healthier, so it's not really my opinion. And if there's anything in veganism that doesn't follow the science, I'd be the first one to call it out. So the biggest studies that have been done so far on nutrition and sciences, and all of the big like nutrition centers around the world all agree, and these are not like vegan centers, like, but they all agree that a balanced plant exclusive diet is enough for you to get everything you need, as long as you're eating in a balanced way. You would have to take some supplements such as B12, but that is something that all these scientific, let's say, researchers are saying also for non-vegans. So yes, if you're vegan, you should supplement B12, but they say the same thing to non-vegans. It's just that we hear it more often about vegans because people like to have like, oh, gotcha moment, at vegans. But also, generally speaking, studies have also shown that non-vegans have on average 7 deficiencies of nutrients, whereas vegans have 4 to 5 deficiencies. So yeah, if we're going to talk about health, a plant-exclusive diet is definitely superior to a diet including animal products. Now, someone can make the case that if you eat meat or fish like once a year, you can still be healthy. That makes complete sense. You can, but it's not ideal. And for more like ethical reasons, it's definitely not the way to go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I think I'm gonna stop the streaming here and I'm gonna head over to YouTube to answer some questions there. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for the moderators of Animal Rights Advocates for making this possible. Anyone who's still on YouTube or watching this later on, check out the link that I've put in the description so you join this Discord. It's a really amazing space to learn more and to share more with other vegans or future vegans. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much. If any of the moderators want to share anything.
No, I just want to say thank you so much, Seb. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, there's if anyone would like to do outreach themselves, talk to be in a community of vegans, or learn and listen to stages and events, then yeah, feel free to join the server and participate. And yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Switching over to YouTube now. Just wanted to check if everybody can hear me on YouTube. Is it still working even though I'm not in the Discord anymore? Just send a quick maybe consider signing mods to keep the chat troll free. Yeah, that's something I can look into. I haven't done it before, so I can do that. All right, I think you can hear me. Hey everyone. Thank you for staying this long or joining the live. I just wanted to take some more questions here, and if anybody would like to make sure that your question is answered as fast as possible or not missed in the chat, feel free to do a small donation with it as well to support my work and the channel. Let's see where this is going. I think it takes some time for the streaming to go through YouTube. So I do want to remind everyone to make sure to check out my ebook on my website, SEBALEX.org. It's completely free. Available in, I will share the languages I have it available in. So let's see. For anyone interested in the ebook, it's available in English, Armenian, Dutch, Farsi, French, German, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Italian, Lithuanian, Malay, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, Turkish, and soon I will be adding Catalan and Greek as well. So yeah, that's it. Well done on the Discord, Seb. The vegan teacher kids are getting out of hand, so upset about someone they don't even know. That's so true. They're so triggered by her. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream. Thank you all so much for joining. If you have, if you're watching this later on and watch all the way through, thank you as well. I appreciate it. And yeah, I will be doing more of those since they're really fun and actually something where I can discuss and debate non-vegans. We didn't get a lot of those today. Last time I did, but I wasn't live streaming at the same time. So I'd like to do that more often for sure. Thank you again. And if you want to support my work, as always, feel free to check out my website, sebalex.org or ethicsoverhabits.com for vegan, fair trade, and organic merchandise. Any support that I get, I'm really grateful for it. And massive shout out and thank you to all